actually, Mr. British person, it's spelled C-E-N-T-E-R. No, it's not, mate. It's spelled centre, R-E, because we're in England, so get used to it, friend. Alright, mate, I'm Dan from DanSenseiEnglish.com and welcome to another episode of the Dan Sensei British English Podcast, the podcast for intermediate and advanced level English learners who love the UK and want to learn more about British culture, British life, and of course, British English. Today's episode is things that you should know about UK culture. It's a two-parter. The first part is today, the second part is next week, and over the 2 episodes I'm going to show you 10 unique aspects of British culture that you should know if you want to live in the UK, or you're going to live in the UK, or if you're living in the UK right now. Now, we all know that British people and British culture can be a bit strange sometimes. It can be very different from what you're used to, and some of it won't make any sense and it kind of contradicts itself sometimes. So today, I'm going to give you a bit of a crash course to make sure that you can understand what's going on in UK people's minds. The first one I've got for you today is that Brits love to apologise. I'm pretty sure that sorry is the most commonly used word in the UK, and if you spend any time in England or Scotland or wherever, you're probably going to hear this word multiple times a day. But why? Well, I think it comes from the fact that British people are too bloody nice and we're trying to be polite to everyone we meet, and we're trying not to inconvenience people with our actions, right? So it's like this. I'm walking along, somebody bumps into me, I'm probably going to say sorry for being in the way. And if I'm on a crowded train and I'm trying to get past someone because it's my stop and they're in my way, I'm going to apologise for them being in my way, and I need to get somebody's attention. So that's inconveniencing them somehow. So I would start with sorry. It's a weird thing. So you might find that when you're in the UK, you're being apologised to a lot for things that could be your fault or that just don't matter in the grand scheme of life. So yeah, be prepared to hear the word sorry a lot if you're in the UK. Another thing that us Brits proper love is a good queue. Can't get enough for a good queue, us Brits. If you're not sure, queue is the British English word for a line. You know, you stand behind the person in front of you, waiting for your turn to do something. Now, I can't imagine a better Saturday than standing in a massive queue, waiting to get to the front of the line so I can complain about something. Now that is quintessentially British. Now, it's an unspoken rule that these queues exist and you don't push in the queue. You don't go in front of your mate. You don't push to the front. You don't make a crowd trying to get on the train. You get in the queue and you wait your bloody turn, because that is what polite, well-mannered gentlemen do. However, you will find sometimes that there's always one dickhead that decides that they're not going to play by these rules and they're going to push to the front. Now, British people are too polite to tell them not to do it, you know? If you try it, you're probably going to get away with it. But everybody else in that queue will hate you and they will be livid. And you can tell that British people are mad because you'll hear a tut. That is the highest level of anger in the UK, especially folded arms. What a dickhead, you know? So please don't do that. If you see people lining up, get to the back of the queue and follow the rules. Otherwise, you're going to piss off a lot of British people. Now, when it comes to small talk, guess what British people love to talk about? That's right, it's the weather. British people, for some reason that I don't understand, love talking about the weather, which is strange for a country that basically just has grey and raining as the default weather conditions. However, we love to talk about it when we meet people, you know, in an elevator, or we're waiting for the bus, or somebody we don't really know but we're trying to make polite conversation with. You can guarantee that the weather is going to come up as a topic of conversation. And it's probably going to start something like this. See, it's raining again, isn't it? Or, I wonder if it'll ever stop raining. Or, August and it's raining. Something like this is probably going to come up a lot. I don't know. For me, it's the most boring topic of conversation that you can possibly have with another person. Yet, British people love to do it, and I don't really understand it. The joke in England, though, about the weather, of course, everyone's image is that it rains a lot, and it does, but we do have 4 seasons in England, right? The problem is you can experience all 4 of those seasons in the same day. You wake up, it's a nice spring morning. By lunchtime, it's kind of sunny and warm, and you think, yes, I'm going to have a barbecue today. You go to the supermarket, and it starts getting a bit grey, a bit colder, because autumn's here, and by the time you turn the barbecue on in the evening, guess what? It's winter, it's raining, it's cold, so you just give up, go back inside, and just cook all the food you bought in the oven like you would do for any other meal. I suggest you learn some expressions for it's cold today, isn't it? Very basic expressions to talk about the weather, and you will notice that British English, we've got a million different words and a million different ways to talk about basically the same weather. So I suggest you spend a bit of time learning it so you can have that conversation with people that you've never met and be polite, and even though it's proper boring. Now, if I said to you, what is the UK's national drink? Your first thought is probably a bloody lovely cup of tea, and you would be right. British people in general love drinking tea. I don't get it. I prefer coffee. I'm not much of a tea drinker, to be honest, but I'm not a very good British person. But over the UK, apparently we drink 60 billion cups of tea every year. So you will find that if you spend any time with British people, they're probably going to offer you a cuppa, which means a cup of tea, a cuppa. Or they might offer you a brew. We sometimes call it a brew, a cuppa. They both mean a cup of tea, and you'll be offered this all the time. Even if you've just finished drinking a cup of tea, the second that empty cup hits the table, they might be like, hey, do you fancy another cuppa? I don't know, it's just something that we do. I think British people feel a bit anxious if they've got a cup without tea in it. But, it is what it is. Anyway, you're probably going to be offered a cup of tea at every possible opportunity. And it's not just about the drink. It often goes hand in hand with sitting down, having a break, talking to your mates, having a bit of a chin wag, a bit of a natter, and we drink tea while we're chatting and catching up on all the latest gossip, and it's a way that we kind of bond with people. If you go to your mate's house, you're probably going to have a cup of tea, and maybe, if you're lucky, a little biscuit, and you're going to spend a bit of time chatting together. It's just the British way. Another thing that tends to confuse people when they go to the UK is that the spelling of words might not be exactly what you expect. And this is all because of our cousins over the pond, the Americans, messing up English, right? Basically, they took British English and they looked at it and they were like, oh my God, this is so confusing. Colour has a U in it. Let's get rid of the U. C-O-L-O-R. Colour. I apologise to any American listeners. My American accent is pretty rubbish, but the point stands. They took standard English spelling and they changed it to make it easier, I guess. But I'm not having that. I want my English to be as confusing as possible, so put the U in colour. Another one that confuses people is the fact that words like theatre or centre end R-E, not E-R. So they'll look at that word and be like, centra? Theatre? No, it's theatre and centre, but we spell it differently. Mainly because French and German, these kind of languages affected British English a lot. And we took a lot of spelling and stuff from those languages. So Americans tend to be a bit more phonetic than British English. So don't be surprised if sometimes you see words spelled a little differently to what you expect. And don't tell us it's spelled wrong. Actually, Mr. British person, it's spelled C-E-N-T-E-R. No, it's not, mate. It's spelled centre, R-E, cause we're in England, so get used to it, friend. And also, as you're probably very aware at this point, American English and British English, we've got loads of words that are completely different, and I think it's because Americans kind of tried to simplify things. For example, in England, we have a bin, and you put stuff in the bin. But in America, that was too vague for them. They were like, bin, what's that? So they called it a waste paper basket. So they knew that it had to be waste paper that goes in the basket. This is not my joke. It's a joke by a British comedian called Michael McIntyre. Look him up on YouTube. He does a much better job at telling that joke than I do. But yeah, I guess one day I'll probably make another episode all about differences between British English and American English. But for now, we're just talking about England, so forget them Americans. It's just all about us Brits. So that is everything for part 1. Next week is going to be part 2, so make sure you check back for the other points. But I'd like to know, what do you find interesting about British culture? Let me know, send me a message, drop me an email, leave me a comment, whatever. I'd love to hear what you think is weird about British culture, and who knows, maybe I'll make it into the next episode. Now at this point you might be thinking, Dan, where's my vocabulary list? Usually you tell me some important vocabulary words at the beginning of the episode. Well, I've kind of decided to stop doing that because some people found it really annoying. So instead you can download the free vocabulary sheet that goes along with this episode. The link is in the show notes in the description. Click the link, put your email address in, and I'll send it you directly. You can download it and use it to follow along with this episode. And of course, if you want the full transcript, it's over on dansenseienglish.com. Every single word, exactly how I said it, written down so you can follow along. It's good for practicing shadowing and things like that. And if you want to go one step further and support me, check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/dansensei. You get bonus content, you get extra stuff. You can also join the Study Squad community and practice your English with me and other people. It's well worth a couple of dollars. But that's it for today, so I'll catch you in the next one.